Hey, staff. I wanted to go over a few things because I know we've had a lot of transition this year and we've heard a lot of things about not using level text as much anymore. What are decodable books? And that's all a lot to take in, absorb, and learn about. So, what I want to do is just narrow our focus down to how we're prompting students because that would get a lot of bang for our buck and not have to shift everything. So, what do I mean by that? When we are teaching students how to read in the past, when guided reading came out, we learned all of these prompts to help support a student when they get stuck on a word. Look at the picture, skip it and go on, stretch it, sound it out. So we have prompts that we have been trained to use over the years or that we use on the regular, even right now. When you're working with students and they come up to a word that they don't know, all I want you to think about is am I prompting to the code or away from the code? Am I prompting them to the code to make them use their phonics strategies to decode this word? Or am I prompting away from the code? Am I giving them a strategy or a coping mechanism that actually doesn't make them apply their use of phonics? If we're just aware of that piece right now, we will be moving miles in the direction that we get students to really break the code. So, I have a little book here, and unfortunately, my document camera cable is gone. So, I would love to do that with you. So, I'm going to just show you, like, with this level B. This is a level text. It was an old Reading A to Z book. So, if I am coming up to, I'm using a level text here. So the is a sight word, can is a sight word. Camel and walk are really kind of already hard to decode, right? So, but when I have a student, traditionally what we'd say is the k, k, the k, k. Oh, hey, can you look at the picture? That actually makes them transfer their understanding away from the code. We're giving them a strategy that's saying, hey, well, these letters don't really matter right here. I'm just going to use the picture and I can forget all about using these letters and the combination down here. The camel can wake. So we might say, what's the camel doing in the picture? Oh, the camel can walk. So that's kind of an example of prompting away from the code. And it's also an example of why level text are hard to use with kiddos, because I guarantee you at a level B, we haven't learned any which way from Sunday on how to decode the word camel or the word walk. So it goes to show again how level text really are not built to prompt towards the code. So I also have here a decodable text. Now, the purpose of decodable text is only to use a decodable text that has skills included in it that the student has been explicitly taught. Ergo, they can use their phonics skills to decode the words in the book. So this is Jim and Mom's Jam. On the back here, you can see the word count. The concepts are letters C through J, which is from Recipe for Reading. But in this particular decodable series, there's a series of letters that are taught C to J. That knows the red words. Those are our high frequency words, are for and go. And there's some review words, and vocabulary is jam. So when I open a decodable, and this is how we can prompt towards the code, which it was really eye-opening to me when I first saw this. So, add, ch, am, for, ch, im. I have to decode all of those. I can't, there's really not a lot of help in the picture. I can't say, honey, go up and look at the picture. What do you think the picture is telling you? The picture shows jam, but it's not really giving me any of the information. And I really am forced to decode down here. The jam is the log, okay? So everything here I can decode or has been taught to me as a high frequency word or a red word if you're an OG, a heart word if you're in really great reading. So I want to just give those to you as just some examples of what are they meaning between a decodable text and a level text. And decodables are really only meant to be used K to 2. Hopefully we help kids break the code by then. So then starting in grade 3, they can read to learn and beyond. We would use decodable text like I am now with third graders like in OG who are still filling in some of those gaps with the phonics instruction. But going back to my original piece at the beginning, just be aware of how you're prompting your kiddos. Are you prompting them towards using the code or are you prompting away? And I would suggest being careful with words like sound it out. A lot of times kids don't know how to sound it out or they would already be trying that. So really give them explicit instruction about how you want them to break down that word. Are there any parts of the word that you know? Do you know the beginning sound? Can you see the letters in the middle of the word? Do you know what the ending sound is on that word? Okay, now let's try to put it together. That might take a little bit more legwork, but throwing a lot of prompts at them is also making them do a whole lot of cognitive stuff that we don't intend for them to do when we're trying to help them break the code and use their phonics skills to read words. So when we're saying, oh, look at the picture. Oh, does it look right? Does it sound right? Does it make sense? All of those things are actually prompting us away from children using those letters and putting those letters together to create the sounds to decode the word. So I think if we just kind of work in that realm, about thinking, wow, did the prompts I give my kids today push them towards breaking the code of reading? Or did I give them prompts that actually give them a coping mechanism that didn't pull them towards learning how to break the code? And the other piece is leveled text versus decodable text. And our leveled text will oftentimes have words in them that we haven't given explicit instruction on yet for the students to decode. Whereas in a decodable text, everything within here should be something that the student has already been explicitly taught. So that is why we're kind of leaning towards asking our K to 2, especially, to be using some of these decodable text. We don't have a ton of them in the building. I'm currently making a bunch right now, but it will be something that we're investing in. So since we don't have those resources all here right now, let's just go with what am I prompting my kids to do? Am I prompting them to use the phonics strategies that have been explicitly taught, or am I prompting them away and giving them a coping skill so that they can just figure out the word and move on? That's going to help us in the long run. Hope you guys have a great day. Message me with any questions.